This is a mic test. This is a mic test. Okay, good. So before I start the class, I basically wanted to, I had a little chat with Rabbi Benaiah this morning, and he gave me this new sport called pickleball. I don't know if you've heard about it. Kind of find it funny. You play it on a court with paddles. It wasn't bad. Seems pretty good. Good sport to get into for fitness and probably fun, I would say, because people have been indoors all this time mostly and not having much communication with the outside world. And now obviously people are getting out and about, and some people unfortunately are catching the corona variant Omicron, but apparently there seems to be a new, not a variant, I'll say, probably another virus is coming out, potentially out of Wuhan, who have alerted the WHO and other people, saying that this one is much more deadlier, and this one can kill if it comes into humans from bats, where they've probably seen it. They're saying that if it comes into humans after 1 or 2 mutations, it can kill 33% of the people. Basically, 1 in 3 people can die. And in COVID-19, I think the death rate was pretty low, something like between 1 to 3.4, 3.5%. That's the death rate in COVID-19 from what I've read so far. So the next one is much more deadlier and can rapidly spread, just like probably like Omicron, and kill more people. Thought occurred to me that maybe if this one goes out, then it seems like a little flush, doesn't it? Flush, a cleanup of the world, kind of seems up like that. So okay, what I'll do. Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi Kefa and Rabbi Zakaria, and I had a chat with Rabbi Benaiah on the new calendar for 2022/23, and he will be helping me with writing that up, and then I will let you have it by at least March or earlier, March 21 or earlier, when the new year starts. And by the way, this is the year of the tiger in the Chinese calendar. Perfect time for it. It couldn't have come earlier. And this is the year of the tiger. So enjoy the year of the tiger. And I've got a short lecture, but very concise to the point. Listen to it. You may have to listen to it a number of times to get what I'm trying to say. And then once you start applying it, you're going to find that you're going to have a rapid change of lives as well. Because one thing I know for sure, most of you are reading your Bibles wrong. That's I know for sure. So listen to this. Any questions, I'll take at the end of the class when Rabbi Kefa finishes. But here it goes. I've got it on, so I'm going to kickstart it soon. Give me a moment. Shalom, Mishpacha. This is the Kohen speaking. I'm going to kickstart the lecture, and I'm going to go into a very fundamental concept in a minute of how do we study our scriptures, how do we read them, how do we read the passages. But before I get into that, this is all about our covenants, and hold that. Put your finger on the covenant. Put your finger on the verses, and I'm going to read you the parsha. The parsha on the calendar is going to be, let me take you there. It's going to be Parsha's Beshalach, Torah Parsha 16, and it goes something like this. In the book of Exodus, chapter 13, verses 17, starts there. It says, "And it came to pass, when Pharaoh had let the people go, that Elohim did not lead them by the way of the land of the Plishtim, although that was near. For Elohim said, lest perhaps the people change their minds. When the sea wore and return to Mitzrayim, return to Egypt. But Elohim led the people around by way of the wilderness of sea of reeds, and the children of Israel went up in orderly ranks out of the land of Mitzrayim. Okay, so now the first verse, which talks about Pharaoh and talks about the release of the children of Israel, talks about they're going to the journey and God not taking them through the journey, through the way, the shortcut basically. Or I should say the shorter way, not the shortcut. The shorter way, but taking them through the longer way. Now, it's not always what you read. You see, what you read there is not what it's saying. It's actually talking about something else. And this, and I may come back to this parsha or this note later, but it's not about what you read. It's how you read it that counts, or how you understand it. Now, you can see, if I asked you to read a verse for me in the Bible and what it means, and you will tell me that, this is a reading. I mean, let me give you an example. A prime example that you may have heard from Christians often is something to the effect of, let me actually pull up a verse that I can, demonstrate the example so that there's no confusion. Because usually the problem is that we have to deal with confusing verses that we read, and thus what happens is that we end up with confusion and, of course, a wrong interpretation. Not just wrong interpretation. I mean, wrong interpretation will not hurt you in any way. It's not going to hurt you. But the verse that is confusing, note, let me repeat that. Verse that is confusing will not benefit you in any way. Let me give you a simple example taken from the Christian interpretation of the Bible. And this may be in your NIV, possibly. This is the NIV or the new translations that have come out. It says this: take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. I am 100% certain that if I asked you to read that verse, you'll read it like that. Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Correct? Now, is that the right way to read it? Answer: no. Why not? Is the next question. Well, answer: who is this the verse for? So this reminds me of a student of mine who was doing certain prayer and affirmations, and she was sending the blessings in the California Sea to Japan, thinking they're going to come to me, because they were going somewhere else. And this is what most of you are doing. You're sending your blessings somewhere else. When you read this verse for you, like give you, this is a literal reading, give you the desires of your heart. Well, who is the you? That is not you, by the way. Because if I read that verse for you, like if I stood over here and read it in the English language, and maybe it applies to you, maybe, if you're in the room. But if you're alone and you're applying the verse from outside of your family, who's outside of your family? For the you, the noun here, well, the you is going to be your neighbors. It's not you. Why? Because that's how you're reading it. You're reading the Bible completely wrong. You see, writing is one thing. In the ancient times, that we had Sopharim. Sopharim were people who would write the scriptures, who would write it with a pen, with black ink, using a special paper that was, created, called papyri. And on papyri, and one page of papyri, they will have a certain way of writing it. And if they made a single mistake, that whole papyri would not be able to be conjoined onto a book. Why? Because there was a mistake in it, and there was only, the only couple of ways they could rectify that error. Well, they couldn't do a cross out like we do today. Just cross it out and start again, or delete it. They couldn't do that. That would ruin the paper. And it was already bad enough making the mistake. But the second thing, what they could do is put a dot or a nakuta there and make a footnote, and that way they could kind of leave the error there but explain it at the bottom so the next person that this is what it actually is and not what is written. So the next person will know, oh, this is an error. Okay, I'll in the next copies, who makes the copy will be able to fix it. We can fix it with that footnote. The problem is this, that we don't have footnotes now to explain to you how to read the Bible. And most of you, like I said, 100%, 100% I can guarantee it, that you're reading it wrong. Not just you, as in you, my students, but I'm talking about you, everybody out there. 100% of Christians do not know how to read their Bibles correctly. Probably 100% of so-called Torah believers, Messianics, do not know how to read the Bible correctly. Well, today I'm just picking up on one verse, take delight in the Lord. Okay? So let me pull up the Psalm where we have this verse. So again, because I don't want to, the last thing I want to do is leave you confused and in a state of dismay. Now, the covenants are ours, the house of Israel. Okay, and remember that. And take delight in the Lord is a classic verse which I've heard millions of times, literally. When I say millions of times, it's always there on TV and papers, on print, on news or somewhere else, on Christian websites, non-Christian websites. I've seen this verse floating around mostly everywhere. And it's Psalm 37 verse 4. Take delight in the Lord and He will give you the desires of your heart. Well, who is the you? And whose heart is it? Well, if I'm reading it like this, if I sit down today, right now, and I read this and I say, in the English language, or whatever is your language, it doesn't have to be English, it could be even Hindi language, Urdu language, Chinese language, it doesn't matter, even those languages, the issue remains the same. Who is the you? And this is the question I asked my students recently. I was in Karachi and asked my students, I said, well, who is the you? And they were like, well, looking at my face like it's them. I said, it's not you. It's not you, my student. I said, it is somebody else. It is your neighbor. And he's like, yeah, I didn't think about that. I said, it is your neighbor. You are actually praying for your neighbor. I said, do you want the desires of your neighbor's heart to be given to him? That's what you're saying. You're saying, you're almost talking to a stranger, and you're saying to your neighbor or a stranger, take delight in the Lord, and He will give you in brackets, open brackets, close brackets, the desires of your heart, open brackets, close brackets, of your heart, meaning your neighbor, your stranger who's standing there, you're blessing him. Isn't that what you're all doing? That is exactly what all of you are doing. You're reading it wrong. Okay? That's one example. Let me take you back. We can go back to the Torah and we can look at the Torah. Do not worry about that because it's exactly where you're going next. I'm going to take you to the book of Deuteronomy and I'm going to take you to the book of the blessings and the curses. Okay? So let's go there. This is a classic example. Classics. Brilliant. I even showed it from the Bible. I showed them mistakes in their own, over here I showed them mistakes in their Urdu Bible. How many mistakes they had in there, how they made wrong pronunciations. Guy was, my student was astonished that, my goodness, we don't know that they made mistakes. I said simply because you do not read the Hebrew, and even if you read the Hebrew, you still wouldn't know how to read it because the Hebrew doesn't tell you how to read it. It just is there. The verse is simply there. It doesn't explain. It doesn't say Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so or wife of so-and-so, husband of so-and-so. You read it like this. It doesn't say if you're a woman, read it like this. If you're a man, read it like this. If you're married, read it like this. If you're unmarried, read it like this. Okay? It doesn't tell you any of those things. When you read from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 3, classical verse, blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed shall you in the quotes, open quote, close quote, blessed shall you be in the field. Is that how you read it? The answer is no. Okay, that's one example. Let me come back to another example of the Torah, and let me open up another one from maybe, where shall we go? Let's think about it. The covenants. Let's go to Genesis 12, and we can pick up Genesis 12 and see where Abraham is called out. Pick up the NIV, pick up the King James Bible, the New King James, or you can pick up my one, and we can go there and look at what my one says. Yeah, I don't mind. I could take you there in the Abrahamic-Faith or Hidden Truths of Breaks Close. I could take you to Genesis 12. My reading will be very different, of course. That's why I wasn't using mine initially. My translation will be quite different, quite enlightening. But the other translations will be, just as they are normally translated. So I thought I'd pick up a common one, NIV, and the NIV will say this. Genesis 12, verse 2. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. Okay? Now let's stop there, verse 2. We only read verse 2. And I want to make you, this is a covenant that God is making with Abraham. And this covenant is giving him some directives. And in these directives, Abraham has been chosen as the person to be blessed. Now, of course, Abraham's not alive today. He is passed on to the next dimension, and he's up there somewhere. And he probably may have come back several times in reincarnations. But obviously, we don't know which man born today is Abraham. We don't know that. But Abraham may have taken on several life forms since that time. We're talking about several thousand years have passed. And since there is reincarnation, that is 100% true that he would have been reborn many times. He's taken many rebirths. That's true. Now, of course, there is his sons. So clearly, these blessings will go to his sons, right? Now, you may or may not know that Abraham had something like 9 sons. Yeah, 9 sons. He didn't just have one. And that one, by the way, actually happened last. So, again, how is it that Abraham's son can be born last, yet Abraham can say that I have no children, or I have no one for inheritance? How can it be? How can that be? You see, remember that verse where Abraham speaks to God and says to God that I have no children, no sons, in that kind of terminology in the Bible, in the Bibles you read out there. And it's perplexing. It's very perplexing because when you think that, is Ishmael not his son? Because Ishmael was written in the Bible. He's written in the Genesis, in every Bible out there. So you question it, isn't Ishmael his son? Of course he is his son, legitimately. Yes, he's born through another wife, but he is his son. But that other wife was alive. Sarah was alive, but there's another wife missing, Keturah, the Arab wife. The Arab wife had sons. She had 6 sons, and they were born before Isaac and before Ishmael. So how many sons is that? 6 plus 2 plus 1. 6 sons of Keturah. Then we have, of course, you didn't know that Eliezer was his son as well. You didn't know that, but now you know. Mentioned in the book of Genesis as his servant. That makes it 7. And Isaac makes it 8. And Ishmael, 9. There you have it. 9 sons. Okay, so before minus Isaac, 8 sons. He had 8 sons before Isaac was born. So how can he be praying that I do not have a child? Perplexing, isn't it? Again, the problem is how it's been translated wrongly. It doesn't say that I do not have a son. It doesn't say that, by the way. It says something totally different, which is not understood in the cultures that you live in, because nobody ever nobody ever explains it to you that this is not what he's saying. However, this is what is believed to be the case. And world over, institutionalized religions believe wrongs and they believe rights. And this is the problem. You see what the KJV does, when Abraham says that in verse 3, in 15:3, and Abraham said, you have given me no children, so a servant in my household will be my heir. You see that bit? In verse 3, see how it's translated? And Abraham said, you have given me no children. How could that be? Because Abraham had 8 sons and daughters. There were daughters born from Keturah. So Keturah had daughters too that are not mentioned there. So how could it be that maybe he had about 8, 9 children already? including daughters. He had 3 daughters plus, 6 sons from Keturah, and he had then, 3 sons from 3 different wives. In other words, or 2 sons from 2 different wives. There was a wife called Mashach. Mashach was a mom or the mother of Eliezer. And there was a wife called Hagar, and Hagar was the mom of Ishmael. So can you see the problem? Genesis 15:3 is a big problematic passage. Why? Because, well, is it problem because that's the way it reads. Verse 3 reads it totally wrong. And this is how your translators have made you buffoons, unfortunately. Sorry to use the word buffoon. But they buffooned everybody into believing that. Now let me show you how it reads and why it reads like that. It reads, "You have given me no offspring," but God had given him offspring. "Indeed, the son born in my belly is my heir." Okay, so the problem wasn't that there was no, there was no offspring. There were offspring. There was offspring from Keturah. There were offspring from Hagar. There were offspring from Mashach. And it says, "And behold, the word of Yahweh came to him, saying, this one shall not be your heir, but one who will come from your own bowels shall be your heir." Now, of course, your own bowels meaning that Eliezer of Damascus was born from Mashach, the wife of Abraham. So Eliezer was Abraham's son from let's call it a concubine for argument's sake, still a wife, but let's call it a concubine, but I prefer to call it a wife. But he could not be the ruling prince. This is why a ruling prince had to be born out of the northern wife, Sarah, in the north-south divide, whose son would be a ruler according to African ruling priestly class established by Yahweh long ago, meaning African, or North African. That North African custom and tradition was that they had to be wives living in the south and wives living in the north. And the northern wife was the only one who could give birth to a son who could be established as a prince or a ruler or a prophet. The southern sons were not given rulership, covenant, or how shall we put it, covenant to be a prophet or covenant to be a king. They were not given that, facility. They were still given blessings, by the way. They were still blessed, but they were not given the other part, which is the main part of the covenant was, that they will be given a certain blessing of being a ruler, a prophet, a seer, maybe a king, or an owner of a particular land. See, that part only belonged to the northern son. That's the issue we're dealing with, or at least that's the issue that was being dealt with. Now, see, again, misunderstanding, wrong translations, bad translations, wrong way to understand it will lead to futility. Now, let us go back to Genesis 12 again, and let me read it correctly for you, because I think it's time that I read it from my Bible, smiling because, my goodness, that word should not be read as you're taught to read it. So wrong. So wrong. And I will make you know, the you should be read as I or me. Let me add that as a footnote. The you, let me put quotes around it, should be read as me. Okay? So that's just a new footnote, just add it. I save that. So I'll come back to the you. Give me a moment. And let me just update this. What's the date today? Today is 29 of January. So 2022. Okay, of the Hay edition. And I want to just save this document into its respective date format, which is 29. Bear with me. So this is the kind of work that I have to do sometimes when I make these additions. I have to save it, and then I have to go back and do several other things. And there's not just one copy or one document. I have several documents that I have to update in order to make sure that they are all done correctly. Okay, so once that's been done, I'll go to the verse in another Bible. Let me pull it out of there. Give me a moment, please. Okay. Let's see, it's just while it's doing that. And I want to go into Genesis 12. Let's go to the I will make you into a great nation. If you read it like that, I will make you into a great nation. Well, who's becoming a great nation? The Arabs? Maybe the Muslims are becoming the great nation. Maybe the Christians are, but you are not. That's for sure. You are not becoming the great nation because you're reading it wrong. So who is getting a great nation? Well, and you can read the history after that, what happened. How is it that historically that, people were abused, people of Israel were abused in such a way historically and left to die or left to wonder if they even have God to support them? Why? Because, several factors that I cannot, go into right now, but one factor that I would like you to understand, which I think is important to understand, it's kind of important to understand that why your wrong reading, it doesn't bring a blessing, and it doesn't do nothing. Basically, is you're throwing it in, you're throwing it in the sea. Every time you read "you" in the Bible, you're throwing it in the sea. Just think of that next time. So, how do we go back and correct it? Wow, I'm reading this all this time as you mean the reader. You, the reader, has been reading this wrong all this time. Wow, and wow. And how can you expect a blessing to come into your life? I'm pretty certain that you can't expect a blessing to come into your life like this. So how do you read it? This is how you will read it. There's two ways to read it. You're not going to read it, I will make me into a great nation, because that is kind of incorrect, syntactically. You will say God. You replace the I, Aleph. Within the Aleph is the word of God, is God himself. Aleph is God, okay? Just know that. Doesn't matter if it's called Allah with the Aleph, or if it's called Yahweh, or if it's called Elohim. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who. So, but it is Aleph is God. Remember that. So given the facts of the Aleph contains everything about God and his name, do not fall into these false arguments of, God's name should be this, that, and the third. This, should be Yehovah, Yahweh, some other form, or, whether it's Allah or not, etc. I do not fall into these arguments because they're unnecessary, and they are just from people who are generally ignorant of culture, context, and people. So we do not fall into those culture, context, and people arguments. Now, as I explained it to you, the words that Abraham spoke should have been read. When you read them, it should be read that God will make me into a great nation. And it should read, God will bless me. That's how it should be read. But you're reading it totally wrong, the wrong way. And it should then say, God will make my name great, and I will be a blessing. God will bless those who bless me, and whoever curses me shall be cursed, and all the people of the earth will be blessed. All the people of the earth will be blessed through me. That's how it should be read. The second part of where God says that in verse, let's see where we are. We're in 15. We already touched 15. We need to go Psalm 37 where we started. So Psalm 37, take delight in the Lord and he will give you. No, he will give me, M-E. Take delight in the Lord, or take delight in Yahweh, and he will give me, or take delight in God if you want to use God or Elohim. Take delight in Elohim. You can use whatever noun you want to use there for God. You want to use, Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh, you can use God, you can use Elohim. All of those are applicable. So take delight in Elohim, In the Lord is fine too, in general reading. Take delight in the Lord, and He will give me the desires of mine heart, or my heart. Not to the neighbor, not to somebody else out there standing beside you or away from you. So do not send your blessings into the unknown. Okay? That's what you've been mostly doing. You've been sending your covenant, your blessings, to other people by reading you, your, and etc. So do not read you, do not read your. You're going to have to conform that reading to I, to me, to my. So I would suggest you take some of the key verses from the Torah, from the first 5 books, and you can take it from the Psalms if you like, and Proverbs. It's perfectly fine to do that. And if some of you desire to take a reading out of the New Testament, I tell you, I have no problem with that either. You can do that, but you must apply it to yourself. Must apply it to yourself. Okay? That is a must. Because remember I explained it to you, ye are gods. Ye are gods comes out of the Psalms. And thus it is also available in the New Testament as well. Ye are gods is not something that was invented by Christians and other people. So if ye are gods, it says in John 10:34, it's not John 10:34 that invented it. It's simply there as a reference from Psalm 82, verse 6. So it's a reference out of Psalm 82. Ye are gods means that you are Elohim. What does it mean? It means that you are the operant power. You're obviously not the one who created the earth and everything else, but it does mean that you are the operant power. You have a part of God in you, what we call the I am, or the inner kingdom, or the several terms for it, inner power. So nothing is given without heaven. Everything comes out of heaven. So if everything comes out of heaven, therefore your God part is also the operant power. So you are the operant power. So remember that when you just simply understand that you are the operant power, therefore you applying the me, the you changing it to the me and the I is the right way to read it. Next time you write for yourself an affirmation and you want to read it correctly, make sure it doesn't say take delight in the Lord and He will give you. No, it says take delight in the Lord and He will give me the desires of my heart. Okay, that's one important one. And then there's others that we can look at. Let me see, because there are definitely others. No weapon forged against me will prevail. Okay? No weapon forged against me will prevail, and God will refute every tongue that accuses who? Accuses me. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. Okay? This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is a vindication from me, declares the Lord. Okay? So very, very important. So very, very important of how you read those verses. And of course, we go back to Deuteronomy 28, and let me pull up the reference for Devarim 28. Deuteronomy 28, where are we? We are right now coming to Deuteronomy 28. So to read the reference of the city, where it says that, and all these blessings shall come on who? Come on me. And all these blessings shall come on me and overtake me. If I listen carefully to the voice of Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh, my power, not your power, my power. Blessed shall I be in the city, and blessed shall I be in the field. Blessed shall I be in the fruit of my body, and the fruit of the ground, and the fruit of my ground, and the fruit of my cattle, the calves of my herds, and the flocks of my sheep. Blessed shall I be in my basket and my store. Blessed shall I be when I come in. Blessed shall I be when I go out. Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh shall cause all my enemies that rise up against me to be struck down before me. They shall come out against me in one way and flee before me 7 ways. This, by the way, is the way you should read it. And says Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh, or God shall command the blessing upon God has not commanded, God has commanded, Yudhevah has commanded the blessing upon me in my storehouses, in all that I set my hand to. And He already, by the way, it's already done. It's not in the past, not in the present, not in the future. It's definitely not in the future. And He has blessed me in the land which Yudhevah or Elohim or God has, my power has given me. Okay? So because the giving you is already done. The giving you is already done. It's not in the future. It's already done. So if it was already done, then you already been given the land. You already been given places to stay. Some of you are in England, some of you in America, some of you in Paris, France, some other cities, some of you in Germany, maybe other countries of Europe or in the East. Wherever you are, that place, that land, that house, that car that you drive and everything else has been delivered to you through heaven, through God's hand. You acknowledge that yes, all these things have been given me, and I'm blessed, and there you have it. There you have the correct reading of the Bible. If you read it wrongly, then you're sending your blessing somewhere else. So please note, to not read the Bible wrong. You don't have to go back and change the Bible verses. No, you leave them where they are. You just change the participle to I and me. The your participle will become I and me. Just remember that. As long as you remember that, you will read it correctly. Because remember, God has done it in the past. He's already done this in the past. This is not in the future. Just remember, it's not in the future. It's not going to happen a year later, 2 years later. No, it's already done. When it's already done in the past, Israel was already there as a land, as a people. The people are already in the world as a people. They don't have to be born and go through the cycles and so on and so forth. No, we're already here. We're already born, and we're now ready to act. So if you remember this will become the most powerful reading for you. And this will become the most powerful thing ever happened to you. If you just do this, you can't go wrong. Have a great Shabbat. And before I hand it over to Rabbi Kefa, I wanted to just point out that we read it as, for instance, if we go into the book of Deuteronomy 28:1, we are reading this in one way of the like I and me. Like it says, you will be blessed in the city and blessed in the country. Another way to read it is to say, remove the will be. Because you're looking for it in the future and somebody else is getting it. So you're going to say, I am blessed. Note, I am blessed in the present tense, in the city and blessed in the country. So that becomes present tense reading. That means it's already occurred. Then you're going to say, the fruit of my womb. Well, if you have a wife or more than one or just the one that you have, the fruit of her womb, which basically, when it says your womb, it means my womb. That woman, women, etc. are mine. So when you say it like that, you will say the fruit of my womb will be, not will be, we can say is. Will be can be replaced with is. The fruit, that's if you're already married. If you're a single, remember I said there's a reading for single, there's a reading for married. You might be reading it completely wrong because you're married. You might be reading it completely wrong because you're single. If you're single, you will not read it. You will not read it is because you're not yet married. So there is a reading for single and there's a reading for a married. For a married person, married man, married woman, note that. This is critical. So if I'm married, if you're a married person, the fruit of your womb is blessed. And if you're yet to be married, let's say you're single, man or woman, then you're going to say the fruit of my womb will be blessed because you're not yet married. As soon as you got married, you start using the is. You remove the will be, is blessed. And the crops of your land, well, the land is here now. It's not, doesn't matter whether you're married or single at this point because crops are crops, fields are fields. You can be single and have fields and own fields, and you can be married and own fields. So in those two instances, the crops of your land and the young of your livestock, if you have animals, if you have businesses, here we can transfer, we do a transference. A transference is the land becomes your business and your livestock becomes your, additional businesses. So it's like child businesses, like shoot of your company. So you can start getting multiple streams of income. So, and you say, and the crops of my land and the young of my livestock, whatever business that is, the calves of my herds and the lambs of my flocks. So, whatever businesses shoot off your main business, you can be having 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 businesses. All rich people do in the world. It's nothing new. And so these calves, these herds, these lambs, not necessarily animals. Don't confuse it with animals. I haven't got room to park 1,000 cattle out there. I haven't got room to put 5,000 sheep there. But I may have room to put, a $5 million business down and have offshoots of that. So if you have that kind of potential, then yeah, because that's where you're going. You're going into a $1 million plus business. Your basket and your kneading trough will be blessed. No, it reads like this: my basket and kneading trough is blessed. Now that can go for either single or married, because everybody has a basket and everybody has a kneading trough. Now I don't want to go into a very detailed explanation, killing time kind of thing. So I'm going to keep it short, and our pastor Rabbi Kefa will deal with that another time. But you got to correct your reading. If you don't correct your reading, you're throwing your blessings in the sea to the Gentiles. Stop doing that. There's much more I can say, but like I said, I don't extend this reading, too long, because it will start becoming, you'll have maybe 10 questions afterwards, like, so why that is the case and why this way. And, I can only answer those questions if I was sitting there with plenty of time on hand, 2, 3 hours, 4 hours, then I could sit there and answer your questions. But really, what I've given you succinctly is a summary of a very big lecture that I usually have with my students privately. So go ahead, listen to this a number of times to get it down to your system, that the covenant's already done. There is no more covenants to be made. Everybody that is born has got to utter that covenant and accept it. So it automatically becomes activated. So go ahead, and Rabbi Kefa, on to you. Tada. Have a great Shabbat.
Yeah, Tada Rabah for that. And it's very important that we must get selfish. I mean, and I don't mean that in a negative connotation, but in a positive. We must stake claim and take claim to the Torah. Think about that for a minute. Because everybody else and their mama out there have taken claim to our Torah. They have. Every religion has dipped in the Torah in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Some kind of way they've dipped into our Torah. And so now, as Israel is woke, now we must take back what's rightfully ours and understand how to take it back. And it's not with weapons. That's what Yeshua ben Yosef was trying to explain to the Israelites of that time, to the Hebrews. It's not with weapons. We must take back with our words and how we speak. I mean, we're children all over again, and so now we must learn our language and make it ours. Don't just claim it, but make it ours through our actions and how we speak. I mean, yeah, powerful indeed. I think Brother Davis mentioned that earlier. But what I wrote down during Hakoy's lecture as I was listening to him is that we must make the Torah personal. I mean, in your readings, it must be personal and it must be yours. It must be mine. This life is mine. It's not other folks. But again, as you are students of human nature, you know this, is that, folks give up their life for others. How many of you have heard that verse, or you have heard that bit of teaching and preaching that you got back in the day? Is that you give up your life to gain life. How many of you heard that? That you literally have to, and they teach this. I don't know if you all know. How many can affirm to the fact that you've been taught that? They teach you, you gotta let go of your life. You gotta give your life up, and you're gonna receive so much. And believe me, in the Muslim faith, in the extreme Muslims, I'm going to tell you, they take this to the extreme, to where they say it's an honor to give up your life, and you're gonna get all of these things on the other side. I mean, no, we need to claim our life. We need to do just the reverse of that. You need to give up everything, brother, and just become the suffering servant, and God is going to honor you and bless you and such. That's a bunch of malarkey. You know what I mean, Oliver? You know what I mean? We need to, now as Israel's woke, now we need to go back and take claim, take stake, and actually make Torah personal in our life. Because believe me, Torah is life. Those books of Moses, our rich history, our heritage as Hebrews and descendants of the Hebrews, or converts, if you want to, for that matter. Because, you know, I'm not leaving anyone out here. You know, anybody that wants to come in, come on. You're welcome to the family. You know, with open arms. Believe me, we'll embrace you. But, you know, we must take it back. I must take it back. You see, you must take it back. You becomes me. I tell you, beautiful. I call you, that's just marvelous lecture, because not only is it marvelous, but it's wonderful and it's powerful, because once you begin to grasp hold of that, then everything becomes personal. But you know, it's counter to what's popular and what you're told and what you've been conditioned, because they tell you have to let go of everything. And they tell you that money is evil. No, money is not evil. Me and money have a great relationship, and I would never call money evil. But a lot of folks have that thought process. It's wicked, and it's of the devil, and blah, blah, blah. But it's totally not. It's totally opposite. You know, so everything in life is energy, and it's how do you want to use that energy to your benefit, to my benefit? How do I want to use that energy to my benefit? You see? And that's the whole purpose of everything in life, is to utilize it to your benefit. You know, that's it in a nutshell. What a marvelous lecture. You know, and it's all about changing, you know, what you've been taught and what you believe, what your belief system that you believe was real was actually fake and phony. And you were actually projecting things outward and not inward. Torah makes you examine inward self. It brings everything inward to who you are and to what you desire, to me. But we've been taught for so many years, it's not about me. It's about others, brother. You must do for others. You must treat your neighbor as yourself. Boy, do they have that all wrong, right? So, again, you know, everybody has dibbled and dabbled from our Torah, from our holy books, from our way of life, from our way of living, in some way, shape, form, or fashion. But the people of the books are going to come back and claim what's rightfully theirs. And not only claim it by name, but claim it by action and by deed. And by making that Torah actually a part of our lives, a part of my life, a part of your life, so that you can go out and do marvelous and great things and have that life of peace, love, joy, and happiness that all folks want at the end of the day. Come on, let's face it. All humanity wants that, but they just have weird ways of going about and get it. Why? It's because of who they listen to. A lot of folks are just listening to the wrong people, you know, and some of you, a lot of us have been down that road to where we've listened to the wrong people for a minute. And this is why we should give thanks and gratitude this day for the Kohen in the gate, to give us that proper guidance and direction that's going to assist us, that's going to assist me, it's going to assist you, that you is me, you see. And so it's very, very important that we do understand that and take it and put it put it deep within us and embed it within us, so that we can carry on and carry that mantle of this Torah and the contracts and the covenants with us going forward. Speaking of forward, that's where we're going with this lecture. We're going forward, because that's what the Most High in Bishalach told Moses to go forward. Let's read that out of the Abrahamic-Faith Bible. If you don't have this Bible, I would encourage you to get it. I would really encourage you to get it, because as you heard live and in person, Kohen was making corrections and footnotes to the Bible to really enhance it even more, to really give you that understanding of what's really going on out there. Now, how many times have you seen corrections made on the spot like this with the King James Version? No, they want to leave it as is, because it's meeting the necessary agenda, you know? You know, how many times you see them made to the NIV to where, here's these footnotes down here. Oh, we have new footnotes in the NIV that's going to really help me understand it. No, these things are already, they're in concrete stone, and they're etched, and they're doing what they have to do. They're doing what they want them to do, is to leave folks just watered down. And I thought about that during our Kohen's lecture. I was like, wow, look how they have watered down the covenants. Think about it. They watered down Look at how they have watered down. And I saw that initially back in the day when I realized that that the King James Version was just like this, was just like all misplaced. And it was just like a lot of things were added and some things were taken away. And so you begin to understand what that does over time when you begin to translate it to all these different languages, that you begin to water down. You begin to water down the very essence. You begin to lose the power, effect and effect that the rich history of these Hebrews have. You see, and so and it just waters it down to where it becomes basically of no benefit to you. You know, you're saying blessing, but like Akoi said, you're projecting that blessing out to others, you know, instead of yourself. This is where, like I said before, we have been doing it, and now we're being taught it. Just like our forefathers said to the Most High, we will do, and then we will hear later, but we will do. We will do. We don't know what we're doing yet, but we will do, and then we will do whatever you tell us to do. We'll follow the instructions later, but we're telling you right now, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. This was a great attraction for the Most High to, you know, for the Hebrews amongst all the nations of the world. The Hebrews said, we will do, we will hear. Baruch Hashem. So the same thing here. You know, we're doing because you know, you all know the I am. The I am is nothing new to the family, right? We've been scripting I am. We are I am. We realize that. So now we need to make the Torah the I am. You see? We need to make that Torah our I am. That's what's important to understand. We need to make that Torah where it's about me. It's about I. It's about I am. It's me. And once we understand that in our readings, we're not projecting things outward, but now we're projecting things what? Inward. Everything is about us. And as stated, and I've always, in conversations, I always say this, is that, you know, we have to get selfish. You know, it's like, well, wow, that's kind of counter to what I've been taught. Yeah, no, you have to get selfish. You have to make this Torah yours. You have to be this Torah. This Torah has to be you. These writings have to be for you, not for, you know, some other person. They're for you. But the conditioning we've been given in the nations is to tell us, no, we have to go out. We have a mandate to go out to evangelize and to help all the people of the world. The people of the world are going to be helped by our doings, Mishpahah, not by what we go out and tell them to change their life. Listen, if their life don't want to be changed, I'm not going to try to change your life. If you're happy with a miserable life, then I will encourage you to continue to be happy with your miserable life. I've wasted periods of my life trying to change people. Put up a capital C if you've been in that category and you've experienced that. I've wasted precious periods of my life trying to change people. I'm done. I'm done with that. I'm totally done with that. Stop for your responses, by the way. Like I always say, if you, the listeners, does not make the Torah me and mine and I, then you're going to waste more time. You know. So again, you know. So it's Brother David says C for camps. You see, you're trying to, you know, and you're literally, you know, not only waste periods of your life. Folks go through their whole life doing this. And then when they're sitting up, they're looking up at the heavens and they're looking at their feet, you know, getting ready to take their last breath, they realize, and they sit there and do a self-analysis, they realize that, I mean, how much of their life, for the most part, that they wasted. Wasted on what? On nothing that was, you know, beneficial. Now we must take the time, we must utilize these periods of our life to invest in ourselves, to invest in self, to invest in yourself. I'm done with that trying to change folks. I'm investing in myself. And when I invest in myself, I realize that I change my world when I invest in myself. Think about that for a minute. You change your world from what? From the inward out. From inside my home, outside my home. My world will change. And like our Queen says and does all the time, from your very own living room, from your very own bedroom, from your very own house. You didn't have to get on plane, train, or automobile. All this was done from the confines of your base, of your home. Powerful is our way of living. Powerful is our way of life. It's indeed powerful. Why? Because we make it personal. It's got to be personal. It just has to be. And then we take that, and then we propel it, and we keep it moving forward. You all know the history. When we look at Bishalak, you all know the story of our history. Baruch Hashem, HaKohen said, there's no need to start your car on, there's no need to start your car on the Shabbat or any day unless you are about to go for an action. And then we have to have purpose. We have to have a purpose, a personal purpose. We have to, we have to make life personable. But again, if we've never been taught, and it goes back to who you listen to, if you've never been taught to love yourself, to really understand yourself, to really understand what makes you happy and gives you peace, love, and joy at the end of the day, what good are actions? Again, invest in yourself. Invest in me. Invest in and invest in I. Baruch Hashem. You do those kind of investments, you make those kind of investments, then life cannot do nothing but get better. Hakoy said, if you listen to the best living Kohen in the world, then life will become, then the world will come to you. My goodness. Then the world will come to you. And believe me, that's real. But a lot of folks, they put their stake and they put their claim in listening to other people, and that's just what it is. And so they look at their investment and they look at the return on their investment, and there is none. You see, there is no return on the investment, and some folks are happy with that. Some folks are depressed with that because they don't realize that they can change the situation. They have the ability to change. Brother David says, you are the first person and the second person when reading Torah, and the third person. So again, that's what it is. And that's what's making Torah personal. When you make the Torah personal. Somebody, I think Olivia Newton-John used to have a song, Let's Get Physical. Whoa, let's get personal. We have to make this Torah personal to where you claim it and it actually is yours. Christians run around all the time. I used to be one of them. They run around all the time and say, oh, I claim this, I claim that, I claim that, I claim that, I claim that. But here's where it gets weakened. But when they read our powerful history and our holy books, they read it from a point of projecting, just like our Kohen said. They projected their blessings out to others to where it doesn't come to them. Those presents don't come to them. They go to other people because they projected it out like our Kohen to the seed, to the world, to the neighbors, to the Joneses and the Smiths. We must make this personal. Baruch Hashem. And so for us to go forward with the covenants, with the contracts, with the agreements, then it must be made personal, and we must read it that way. My goodness. Is there any other Bible out there that's making the Torah personal? No, they're using the old template, and they just remixing the old template. My goodness. This is why the Abrahamic-Faith Bible is a must-have for all of you listening on Facebook or you're listening on YouTube. That's a must-have for your library to help you in your studies to really understand, the whole meaning of life. Everybody has that question. Like what he said, that's why you say the Joneses got the new car, because you sent them the blessing. And you still drive the banker. You're still driving the hoopty, as Akoy says. You're driving the hoopty. Because, all of the things, you're projecting blessings outward instead of inward. You see? And so now everything needs to be focused inward. Inward. It's all, and that inward needs to come out. It's all about me. It's all about mine. and it's all about I. I hear the brothers on the street talk like that, say, I got mine. I'm going to get mine. The brothers on the street make it personal. They say, look, I'm going to get mine. They're not just saying, look, I'm going to get something for you. They said, no, I'm going to get mine. I'm going to get mine. And that's what it is. And they are going to get theirs because they made it mine. They made it personal. Again, we must understand, the Torah is the book of life. And I told this to Nakshan, my 2-year-old son, the other day. I said, Nakshan, your name is written in the book of life. That's amazing, right? That came to me. I told this to my son. Yeah, of course he's 2-year-old, but again, he'll get it because believe me, Father's going to repeat it over and over again. I said, look, Nakshan, your name is written in the book of life. Torah's life. Baruch Hashem. Think about that one for a minute. But again, so that's what we need to understand. We need to take claim to what's ours, and we need to know what's ours. And again, you need to know how to handle what's yours. You know what I mean? You need to know how to handle what's yours. You need to know how to handle it and take care of it. And the Torah tells us time and time again is that we need to guard this Torah. We must guard it. We are the guardians of this Torah. But how do we learn? Where do we learn how to guard it? We learn it from the Kohen, actually how to guard it. How do we guard this Torah? We make it ours. We make it personal. You make it me, mine, and I. We make it personal. Tanya says, I memorized Psalms 91 in the first person, and it just happened naturally as I was reading it. I believe it makes a difference. Oh, of course, indeed it will make a difference, and it's more powerful that way. Otherwise, it's just watered down. I'm not going to leave our Hebrew heritage to King James and the Romans. I'm not going to do that. I'm just totally not going to do that. But again, I didn't have the tools to understand, okay, how do we need to go about doing that? That comes from a higher authority. That's the Kohen in the gate, to give us that higher wisdom, higher understanding, higher instruction, water it down to where it makes just perfect sense. It does. And so, do you not think this will also benefit the Christian that believes and loves that Bible? If they're listening in right now on Facebook, on YouTube, the way they take it and they get their little highlighter and they change all the right, do you not think it will even make it more powerful for them? Oh, indeed it will. Of course it will. Because you're making it personable. You're making it personable. And you're taking claim and you're taking stake and you're taking ownership. Wow. Can you see how the whole world has been hoodwinked and bamboozled by our history? Can you see how they've been hoodwinked and bamboozled and how everything has been watered down to where it has no effect? And it's just words on a paper. It's just words on a piece of paper. And people read those words and there's no power. This is the biggest thing that ran me out of Hagee's church. You read and you read and you read, but there's no substance. There's no power to it. And you're just going through the motions. And you go another time and you read and you read and read, but there's no power to it. And you're like, okay, what do I do now? Do I keep doing the same old thing? There's just got to be more to life than this, and it totally is. Once you begin to ask yourself those questions that actually, mean something and have substance to them, have meat to them, the questions that have meat to them. Not none of these questions that are irrelevant. I'm not going to waste periods of my life on things that have no relevance to me. Let me add that have no relevance to me. Why? Why do that? Like our Kohen said, you can continue to go on and on and on until the cows come home. But what's the relevance to me? How is that going to help my family? How is that going to propel and bless me? What am I going to get out of the deal? Well, Rabbi, that sounds very selfish. Oh, absolutely. And it's supposed to be that way. Because we've been conditioned to not think of self, but to think of others. And just do for others. And not only have we been conditioned, a lot of us have wasted periods of our life actually doing that. And who's here to thank you today? Are all those people still around you? That you spit all you spit energy on? Are they around you today? I look at my life and I say no, they're not around me. Matter of fact, they all left me. Except Pharaoh. Pharaoh's still here. That's my dog, by the way. But again, everybody else, they all that spent energy, that invested energy, they've gone. They've moved on. They stayed for a minute. But then when the pursuit happened, when the heat was kind of kicked up, then they all just left. You can't find them. You know what I mean? And that happens. And you're going to go from cycle to cycle to series in your life to where you go through these experiences. Don't let these experiences stick with you to where they affect you from moving forward. But remember the experience, gain experience from the experience so that when the next experience does come, or when it does raise its ugly head again, you'll know how to deal with it. Because believe it or not, I'm going to tell you something. It shouldn't be a news flash to the family, but history has a way of just kind of, being similar, kind of repeating itself. Events and circumstances in your life have a way of just making a circle and coming back around again. You know what I mean? And we learn this from the Torah as well. We learn this, and the Torah explains to us this in a way as well. When you look at, let's look at Exodus. We look at Exodus chapter 13, and again I read from the Abrahamic-Faith Bible, and we look at Exodus chapter 13, and we look at let's read verse 17, 18 again. And it came to pass that when Pharaoh had let the people go, that Elohim did not lead the people by the way of the land of the Plushtim. Again, like Akoy said, the quickest way, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. That's what science teaches you. That's the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. But as I had conversations with someone this week, the straight line is not always the route that we take. It's actually this other route that's explained in the Torah. We'll read it here in a minute. And Elohim did not lead them by the way of the Plushtim, although that was near. You see, shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. For Elohim said, lest perhaps the people change their minds when they see war and return to Mitzrayim. Look at verse 18. But Elohim led the people around by the way of the wilderness of the Sea of Reeds. You see, look, but Elohim led the people around. Sometimes you see that straight line, and I guarantee you, a lot of you you've experienced this. You didn't get the straight line, but you went around to get to the point. And I spoke with someone this week that's actually doing that. The straight line didn't happen. That relationship didn't happen. Boom, boom, bada, boom, bada, bing. It went around to where it's coming. She had to go around for a while. She didn't get to go through that, the straight way, which is near. No. She's going through it and around. And you know what? She's giving gratitude and thanks for the around. Because in that around, she gained a lot of experience. She gained a lot of wisdom to go around. And a lot of folks we hear the complainers. They'll phone in and say, Rabbi, why did it take so long for me to come into this truth? Because you have to go around. You see, if you'd have went near, you probably would have rejected the way. You wouldn't, because you hadn't gained enough experience. Rabbi Benia says, when you go through hell, you keep walking. You gain experiences going through hell, hellfires and all that BS. You gain experiences and broken relationships. You gained experiences in going through relationships where, you end up divorced, or job relations to where, how many of you in this room have changed jobs more than one time? Put up a J. You say, Rabbi Kefa, yeah, I've changed jobs. Yeah. How many of you in this room have changed jobs more than one time? Come on now, put up a J. You're like, okay, yeah, Rabbi Kefa, I haven't stayed on the same. I've changed jobs more than once. So again, if you look at this cycle, and this is the beauty of it, to die for your responses, this is the beauty of it. when you look at the perfect law, and you look at the law of the universes, can anybody tell me why the earth is not a straight line? Why is the earth round? And when you look at all these other planets out there in the universes, why are they all like a spherical round shape? What is that telling you? Like we learned here in this experience. It's not I've never seen a planet that's just flat and straight. But at one time, here on this earth, people thought that the world was flat. Well, let's put it this way. The Europeans thought that the world was flat. You know what I mean? I'm not knocking. I'm just stating historical fact. The Europeans thought that Oliver says, indeed, I'm going to put it this way. I'm not going to say everybody, but the Europeans had this thought that the earth was flat and that you could go so far to a certain distance and you'll fall off the earth. And you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, Brother David says, and there was a dragon at the end. Here we go in circles. There you go. What goes around comes around, says Adelia. So again, look at it this way and give thanks and gratitude that, hey, I'm going in a circle, but I went through the circle to gain experience, because we get folks that phone in and say, Rabbi Kefa, why does it take so long for me to do this? Why can't I just, boom, get there? Because, again, you have to go through the around the way. You know what I mean? And not the near. You see, the near, you want to appreciate it when you get to where the point destination, opposed to going around the way. You know what I mean? You'll have a higher appreciation and gratification because of all the experiences that you gained and relationships that were made in going, what? Around the way. Baruch Hashem. See that, Mishpahah. Don't see that as a negator, but see it as a positive thing. That you have a higher appreciation for the heavenly life. Why? It's because you went through many bouts of hell in your life. So you appreciate the heavenly life. You appreciate the good things in life. Why? Because you are a participant of the bad things that happen in life. Think about that for a minute. I've noticed folks that had a near-death experience or have had some severity in their lives where maybe they had some kind of cancer or they were incarcerated for a long time. And when these people are, quote-unquote, freed, they have a higher appreciation for life. And they appreciate the things that, the things that, some other folks that haven't had those experiences, they take it for, and they don't take advantage of these things. Or they don't see the blessing in being able to, eat with a fork, being able to go and pick whatever food that you want from whatever restaurant. Some folks don't have that luxury or didn't have that luxury at one time, or being able to walk, just what they call the simple things in life, people give gratitude for. And so because why? They've had these experiences. So the Hebrews were getting ready to go out and have an experience. Experience is plural. I'll say that. I'll say it plural. And what I wrote down was this, and I think this is important because at first the Hebrews and the strangers that were among them, the people of their time, they had to make a commitment. They committed to going with Moses. That's what they committed to. They saw what happened in Egypt, and a lot of people committed to going with Moses. But commitment is just the first step. Now, commitment requires what? It requires an action. It requires you having to do something. It requires you, Brother Davis, having to pick up your shit, pick up your stuff, and let's get out of here. We're leaving. Whilst some other folks said, no, we don't want to go. We want to stay. And let's just say some other family members, they want to stay. No, I don't want to go. Matter of fact, I'm comfortable with this kind of life. Well, I'm not going to stay here and convince you to change. I'm getting my stuff and I'm going. I'm leaving. I'm committed to Moses. I may not understand everything. I get everything else later. That's no problem. Yeah, I'm not here to try to understand everything. I saw what happened and I'm committed to Moses and these powers that he served, committed to it. Or if you're the Hebrew of that time, you're like, yeah, well, you know, my father's fathers told us that this would happen one day, and now I'm committed to doing it and going through with it. Whilst a lot of folks weren't. You know, a lot of the family didn't want to come. And you're going to get that. And Moses wasn't going to wait idly by for everybody to get on board. Well, Mishpahah, we're not going to leave until 100% of the people on board, and then we're going to roll out together at mass. No, either you're coming or you're not. That's just what it is. Either you're going to come or you're not going to come. You're rolling with Moses, or you're going to stay here and, you know, have your druthers with Pharaoh. Take your pick. And a lot of people were comfortable with staying put with Pharaoh. Yeah, and vice versa. Some folks say, okay, we're going to go. I'm going to commit. First thing we do, we must commit. Now, in that commitment, you must take action. You must get your things and you must pack up because we're going to leave. And it's a journey. So now we're on a journey. The Torah is explaining something to us that's not old. It's just as fresh as 2022 is. What? January 29th. It's just as fresh. If I ask you all right now in this room, family, how many of you are on a journey? You all say, yes, Rabbi Kefa, I am on a journey right now. I am on a journey. I understand that. I understand that I am on a journey. And what you're going to take on your journey, that's going to be up to you. But our Kohen is giving us brilliant tools. And look at how Kohen is like Moses, because that's just what he is. He's the likeness of a Moses. That's what he is. He's leading the people. Now, you all haven't been making bricks, but you have been you have been in bondage and slavery, maybe not in a physical sense, but mentally, maybe emotionally, mentally, you're just totally exhausted with, you know, that question about life and really what is the meaning of life? And everybody has this at some time or another. They'll ask themselves this question. What is the meaning of life? What is the meaning of my life? Why am I even here? What is my purpose? Well, they realize that they have a purpose, but they don't understand what it is. So there's that longing for wanting to know and be in the know. And many folks take that energy and they propel it out in many different ways. And, you know, they're out there seeking and searching. That's what they do. And they go to different folks and different, until they find that comfort zone, that spot to where, okay, now I'm home. Now I know that I'm home. And I know a lot of you have that feeling right now. You know you're home with the Kohen. You know you're home with Israel. You realize that you're home. You're like, I'm home. I don't have to go out there, you know, to every preacher, evangelist, and apostle, and out there, you know, you know that now. You absolutely know for yourself. You see, you got to get selfish here. You can't know for nobody else. You got to know that you know that you know. HaKohen has never been a man of numbers as far as how many people are in the room. Now, he's a man of many numbers, and I can tell you and speak for him as well. He loves numbers, especially numbers with a lot of zeros. I'm a big fan of zeros, with a lot of zeros behind it. Baruch Hashem, I love zeros. You know, zeros make you heroes real quick. A lot of zeros behind them numbers, which zero is a number as well. But again, you've never been you can absolutely care less how many people actually come to this room. Doesn't matter. Oh, well, today you look up and empower yourself in the Torah and Yehoshua, 19 people. Oh, wow. Oh, you didn't get all giddy behind that. Because it's not about the numbers, Mishpahah. It's about the substance of who gets it and who doesn't. We understand that the numbers are going to be small when it comes to the Israelites who are going to wake up and actually come back to the Kohen. The numbers are going to be small, but that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant because there's a bigger picture with that already. We've been conditioned to understand that, you know, it's not numbers that win battles, you know, and learn that from our history. It's not numbers that wins battles, because it's, are you on the correct side? And folks have to sort that out for themselves. So numbers have never been important here, but for those of you who are here, for those of you who do listen on Facebook and you listen on YouTube, let this be beneficial to you so that you can use and apply these things, make them yours, personalize them, so that you can have a better life for yourself. And I know a lot of folks leaving Egypt those of Hebrew descendancy and those not. I guarantee you that was one of the main things is that, look, I want to go out here. I'm committed because I want a better life. I want to better my life for me and my family. Hey, in ancient times, families were very important. I'm going to say that again. In ancient times, families were very, very important. How many of you understand that? Torah teaches me that. And I understood that as a Christian when we read the Bible. Because I'm like, why do they have to go through begatting all these begatting? Why is that important? Because you know why? Families are important. You understand that? Now, when I look at today, and look at today's time, I look at this nation that I'm in, I'm starting to realize that this nation doesn't really value families the way our Hebrew ancestors value family. How many of you see that? They don't really have a value on family the way we have a value on family. Oliver, you see that in France as well? Do you know I'm talking about truly where families are important. You look at it and it's like, they don't have that family nucleus, and they don't guard their families the way we're taught and the way we do with our families. It doesn't happen. And of course, am I surprised? No. But when you look at the very essence of humanity, like I said, you don't come into this world alone, and believe me, you're not going to leave this world alone. You're not. Everybody that was born, I'm pretty sure somebody was waiting on you. I was waiting on Najan. I was waiting on them to come out of that womb. Somebody was waiting on you. If not, many people were waiting on you. And in the East, people are waiting on you to come out. They anticipate and wait for you to come out. They're waiting on that. So when we look at this, families are so important. And so to better our families, sometimes we need to make, decisions, and we need to commit to certain things. And again, I'll be the first to tell you, I've committed to some things with my family and it didn't work out. So again, that's why I changed. Okay, now we need to redirect. That didn't work out too well for the family, but let's go this way this time. Let's go around the way, instead of going near, and let's see how that works out as we're going around the way. I'm going to gain so much wisdom. I'm going to gain so much experience. Family. I love my family. I love my family. I love my family. That's real. But I'm seeing around me, my little neighbors and stuff, I realize that they don't really have that love for their family. They don't. Listen, they tell you, I hate this family. Listen, they tell you, I'm like, I hate my family. I'm like, what the hell? How are you going to hate your family? But yet they do. Yet they do. So we have to reinforce and infuse in them the importance and relevance of family. And it can be just a simple phrase as, look, man, this is your family, for good, for better or for worse, you're in this family. You know what I mean? Make the best of them and look at the positive. Don't always focus on the negativity, because that's easy to do, to focus on the negativity. But let's keep it going. Let's get back into this Torah. So they had to get committed. And I would encourage you all, family members, everybody that left Egypt, they had to commit to leaving for their family, to make a better life, or just, again, just to get out and be able to experience an adventure. How many of you in this room are adventurous? I see life as an adventure every day. I look at life and I see it as an adventure. Okay, what's going to happen today? What am I going to see today that's going to just make me want to just like jump out of my socks? You know what I mean? Adventurous. I look at life and I think I like Indiana Jones, man. What treasure am I going to get into? Life is an adventure. See it that way. Be adventurous with life. Sometimes you're going to get into some kind of adventurous situations, and you're going to have to be like Indiana Jones, try to solve your way out of these things. And that's the beauty of life, of not the situation, but how you act and react to the situation, and how you conquer the situation and move on to the next experience. You see, that's the beauty of going in a circle, going around the way, is you get to gain all this experience, and it makes you stronger. It makes you such a better, well-rounded individual. That's why it's so great to go out and travel and experience different cultures and see different things, because it makes you, it actually makes you a better person. And you get rid of all these biases when you begin to establish relations with all these different kind of people and all these different races. You see, that's the beauty of the exile. But folks on YouTube want to shout you down and tell you that the exile is evil and it's wicked and we were sinners, so that's why we were put in exile. We all bad. But they don't see the beauty of the exile. In these great shepherd nations that we put in. And they are great shepherd nations, by the way. They are. The good, the bad, and the ugly, they are great shepherd nations, Mishpah, that you're placed in right now. Your nation. Make that nation yours. Baruch Hashem, because it is yours. Now, what's your relationship with the nation that you're in? Think about that for a minute. What's your relationship with that nation? Is it a good relationship? Are you tearing the nation down, or are you building the nation up? Are you helping the people in your nation, or are you hurting the people in your nation? Think about that for a minute. And you don't have to get on a plane, train, or automobile to do this. It's your neighbor, your next door neighbor. It's the little children down the street. It's your, local grocery store that you go in. It's how you interact and engage. And this is what I was telling the early birds that came into the room. Sit back and examine these past 6 days of labor and what went on in your life and the experiences that you had, and give gratitude and thanks for the Most High and for this way of life that we do have. Because it is indeed beautiful. And this way of life that I do have, Baruch Hashem, because it is indeed beautiful, and it is indeed wonderful. And great things and miracles have happened these past 6 days of labor. Acknowledge and give gratitude and thanks for them. Just like when our forefathers, the Hebrews, came out of Egypt, they came out singing songs of gratitude and thanks to the Most High, Baruch Hashem, for freedom, for protection, Baruch Hashem, during the smackdown. And again, is not history repeating itself? Today, 2022, we can give gratitude and thanks for the protection that we have over these quote-unquote plagues and pestilence that's going on. And the variant after the variant that's going and coming and going and coming and going and coming. And guess what? We still here. Give thanks and gratitude to the Most High for that, right? Give great thanks and gratitude that those viruses and those blah, blah, blah can't touch you. Baruch Hashem, because the covenant is mine. Baruch Hashem, Mishpah, give thanks. And by the way, how many of you took up on what the government did here in North America and you picked up on those free COVID tests? Did anybody get the COVID test for your family? They're giving out 4 free COVID tests. You get them for free. Anybody here in North America, did you pick up on those? Free COVID tests, because otherwise you got to go out and pay for them. And blah, 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 blah. Good for you guys. Get those free tests. I would get them and put them in your first aid kit, just so you have them. So listen, you have the COVID test, maybe not for you, but to help the neighbor, help your neighbor. Think about that for a minute. Help others that are around you. Those tests are, they may be expensive to some individuals out there. Get those tests. Getting the test is not a precursor that you're going to get to COVID. No, it's just that you have them on hand so you can assist other people. That's what we're here to do. We're here to assist. We're here to help. And if I can save somebody $20, $30, you go over to Walgreens to get a test, you get them free. The government gave them out for free. You take them, 4 per household. Get them. I think there's a link for that. That's a UPS link or something for the Postal Service. There's a link where you can get them. It's good to have on board. There's a lot of people running in fear right now, just like the Hebrews are running in fear. Why? Because the Hebrews are running in fear because Pharaoh was pursuing them. Today, folks are running in fear because pestilence is pursuing them. And that's all they can think about. What happened to them singing a song of being grateful and gratitude for protection? What happened? The protection ran out? You see? That goes back to the commitment. Where's the commitment? How far is the commitment going? Only to the next stop sign? To the next red light? And then your commitment's gone? Stay the course, Mishpachah. Stay your course. You all have a course. Stay your course. Whatever you desire for yourself, stay. Don't run in fear. Don't worry about what's behind you. Just like the Most High told Moshe, he instructed Moses. He instructed Musa, why are you bothering me? I'm paraphrasing it. What did I tell you to do? Move forward. Go forward, Moses. But, no buts. Look, I titled this lecture, Between a Rock and a Hard Place. Sometimes folks get between a rock and a hard place and it paralyzes them where they can't continue on. And they worried about the rock and they worried about the hard place to where they don't just walk, Brother Davis. Keep going forward. But you don't get, everybody got a butt. What does that have to do with anything? Don't worry about the butt. But you just don't, they comment and before you know it, fear takes over. We going around the way. To this day, 2022, we still going around the way. But Rabbi, I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. How many of you heard that saying before? Or is it just me? Oh, I'm caught. Oh, we're in the situation. We're caught between a rock and a hard place. No, you're not. A rock and a hard place. No. Let me put it this way. You're caught between a rock and a difficult situation. Well, you don't see no way out. There's always a way out. Because why? The covenants are mine. There's always a way out. You can't see the road on your journey because, of the rock that's in your way, or that hard place. Don't see the hard place. Don't see the rock. Just go forward. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Just go forward. Continue on. Moses was telling the Hebrews to stop and to gather themselves. Let's read it. But look, let's read that. Let's go to Shemu. Let's go to Exodus chapter 14. And let's pick it up at verse 13. And Moshe said to the people, do not be afraid. Stand still. Whoa, wait a minute. Now listen to what Moses is saying now. Moses said, do not be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of Yahweh, which he will accomplish for you today. For the Mitzrayim, the Egyptians whom you see today, you shall see again no more forever. Yahweh shall fight for you, and you shall hold your shalom. And I'm going to hold my shalom. Me, I'm going to be at peace. Me, I'm not going to stand still. Because look at what Yahweh tells Moshe in verse 15 of Exodus 14. And Yahweh said to Moshe, to Moses, to Musa, why do you cry to me? Tell the children of Israel to go forward. That's been the mandate. Tell the children of Israel to go forward. Hey, all them prayers are not working, Christians. You see they not working? Then you need to go forward with something else, another agenda. Keep going forward. Why'd you stop? Well, Moses told us to stand still up in verse 13. Yahweh's telling Moses, no, Moses, don't make him stop. Tell him to continue to go forward. Go forward. Don't stop. But you don't understand. There's water here. We got water on one side, and then we got Pharaoh coming on the other side, and we sandwiched in between the two. Excuse me, you get where I get the title, Between a Rock and a Hard Place from? Same thing. We're going around the way, just like our Hebrews, they were going around the way. We still going around the way. You're looking at situations on both sides of you. What are you going to do today? You're going to continue to go forward. Continue to go forward with your thought process, with your thinking. Continue to go forward with self. Continue to go forward with me, my, and I. Chadasha that HaKohen. Continue to go forward with those things. What do I want? I don't care what the news media, and believe me, quit watching that news media, because they leaving you in fear behind this one coming and that one coming and the other one coming. Listen, my mother-in-law, and I'm pretty sure Shane Yah's mother-in-law, is in China right now preparing to celebrate, the Chinese New Year. And my mother-in-law has not one time brought up anything about some kind of new variant, blah, blah, blah. She's in China right now. And believe me, if I was with her right now, I'd be doing the same thing. In preparation, families coming together. Oh, believe me, this is a high time in China. They can ready to shut everything down. For the Chinese New Year, the tiger, Baruch Hashem. And you're right, HaKohen, this is not by happenstance. I thought about that the other day. I said, it's the year of the tiger. This is not by happenstance. This is right at the appointed time, Baruch Hashem. So we have to keep moving forward. But a lot of times, Bishaw will focus on what? That rock and that hard place, that rock and that difficult situation, that rock, all of these things that bombard us, that come to us. Just keep moving forward with what you desire, with what you want. Who cares if Pharaoh's coming? What we just singing a song about how, and giving gratitude about how Powers, the God of Israel, just, put the smack down on Egypt. Now all of a sudden we scared of them just like that. What happened? What happened? How quickly things can change. Boy, Torah teaches us a lot on so many different levels, doesn't it? A lot about life. When you begin to read the Torah and make it personal and look at Torah and, how does that Torah, how does this story about, the pursuit of the Hebrews by Pharaoh and this water that's blocking them from going one way, how does that pertain to me? You need to understand it just the way the Torah explains it and just the way the Most High explained it to Moses. He said, look, we're going to set them up. This is a trap. You see, when these things come their way, they're going to try to trap you, but the trap is going to get trapped. That's the way you got to see it. All these obstacles in your way, they're not obstacles. The obstacles are going to be for the obstacles. The obstacles are not for you. The hindrances, as Bishaw explains them, they're not for you. They're for you to experience and go through them so that you can do what? Give gratitude and thanks, but they're not to hinder you and to prevent you from meeting your mark. They're totally not to do that. Mark is going to be met. Why? It's because you're going to continue to go forward until your marks are met. Until mission is complete. And then what? What, next mission up? And then what after that? Then next mission up. Because it's a circle, it's a cycle. And you're going to continue to go through these things. Isn't it reassuring to know that whatever you're going to go through in this life, there's going to be good and bad? But you could just continue. Look, such an easy formula on life. But people get bogged down because when the rock and the hard place comes, guess what? It's like a surprise to them. And it shouldn't be, right? Let me think about it for a minute. When you already know what's going in, you already know the outcome, you already know what's going to happen during the experience, there's going to be good and bad. You already have the formula laid out before you. You already know with the perfect law, with the universal laws, what's going to happen. Up is going to come down, down is going to go up. Okay. You already know that going in. So why be shocked and awed by a plague, war? Well, I mean, come on. I mean, this is life. This is what happens. How you going to act, how you going to respond to it, that's what's more important. What is me, my, and I going to do? How is that affecting me, my, and I? Think about that for a minute. This is what it comes down to. This is what it all boils down to. This is what it all boils down to. And so you look at this and you say, well, am I going to press on or am I going to give up? Am I going to give in? Am I going to quit? Am I not going to meet that mark? These are the things that you must understand going forward. Don't get caught up in the trap. Don't get caught up in the trap, Mishpachah. You are the trapper. You're going to trap the trap. Your doings are going to trap the trap that was set to trap you. You're going to be the trapper. And that trap that was set for you going to be the trappee. Don't get caught up in these traps. Traps are going to come to you as you go around. As you go around, the traps are going to come for you. They're coming. You already know they're coming. Your reaction is what's key. You have the proper tools. We've been given the proper tools on how to react to any situation. They're going to come. The good and bad is coming. That's a part of it. That's life. When you already know that going in, you know what to expect, you know what to anticipate, go through it. Go through it with boldness. Go through it, standing. Not falling down, not limping in, but walking through. Running through if you want to. But understand, you're going to overcome this. You are an overcomer. You've already overcome it. You've already won the war. Now just deal with the battles. Deal with them. And every battle that you go through is going to make you stronger. You might be saying, well, Rabbi, I don't see how that made me stronger. I'm just, that relationship just wore me out. No, it actually made you stronger when you really began to look at it and examine it. It made you stronger in character, stronger in peace, love, and joy, and happiness. It made you stronger. Why? Because you're no longer in that relationship, so you're totally happy. You're more happy than when you were in the relationship. You see, you always have to look and find the positive in every lesson that you go through. To find the gain, because there is gain in it. The situation that you're going through right now, there's gain in it, but you got to see the gain. Don't focus on the rock or the hard place. See the gain. Take the gain and then move on. Move forward. Don't cry to the Most High. Move forward. A lot of you cry to the Rabbi. You cry to Kohen. You go, oh, why is it not working out, Rabbi? Don't cry. Move forward. That message is just as good for the Hebrews being in pursuit by Pharaoh and being so-called stopped by water. A rock is supposed to be an immovable object. That water, people thought at that time that you can't move water. But look, do you see the miracle in that? So, look at your situations. If you're thinking with the carnal mind, with that logical mind, it would say you can't move that. But you can. There's nothing that's too difficult for me. All right now. There's nothing that's too difficult for I. There's nothing too difficult for my. Right? Make that, man. Look here, man. I'm dancing like David over here. But that's real. When you make that real, my goodness. Is it going to stop the pursuits from coming? No. Just because we have this thought process, just because we understand and we have embraced I, my, and me, is that going to stop the next variant from coming? No, it's not. Is that going to stop the next war from coming? Hey, is that going to stop inflation? I mean, how many of you have been to the store lately? Man, chicken wings almost cost more than a steak. I'm like, what the hell? You know, chicken wings. But is that going to stop inflation? No. But what is it going to? It's going to stop those things from affecting you. The plague won't touch you, won't touch me, won't touch my family. You see where we going with this? So whatever things gonna happen, wars, another variant, or death all around you, blah 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 blah, doom and gloom. That stuff is gonna be around you. We live in a world. But will it touch me? No. You know, MC Hammer, now that I think about it, Arcoe, MC Hammer in his parachute pants and his dancing moves would still have all of his money if he'd have just changed the lyrics of one of his songs. When he said, you cannot touch this, he should have said, you cannot touch you cannot touch me. You cannot touch me. But he said, he projected out, you can't touch this. Well, what is this? Can't touch this. No. He should have said, you can't touch me. And then all of his money would probably still be with him today. And he wouldn't be broke. He'd probably still be a gazillionaire, you know, making money. But again, it's what he projected. He projected everything out. Can't touch this. Well, what is this? We must make everything personal so we can keep it for ourselves and not project it out. And like Hakoy said, I mean, what marvelous wisdom. I mean, what, you just giving all your blessings out to everybody else? You're giving them out to the sea, to the fishes, you know, you giving them out to the neighbors. You're just giving them all out. Instead of just taking and keeping for yourself, treasuring it for yourself. How many of you in this room just going to give up all your treasure? That's what the Christians tell you to do. Give up all your treasure. Give up, what do they call them? Give up all of your worldly possessions. That is the most foolish thing that you can ever do. But that's what they teach. Oh, you must give up all this worldly possession so that you can have more when you get to heaven. Well, what if heaven is like right now? Am I going to give up all my shit now? You crazy? But again, I was under that conditioning. That's how come I can speak this way. That I have to just give of all myself, give of all my possessions. And then what's going to happen to me here on this earth? Well, brother, you're going to just have to suffer. But your suffering is not in vain. Because you have all these promises that's coming to you. You know what I mean? Brother David says, that's what the hustler says. Yeah, indeed. Indeed. But again, a lot of folks have been conditioned to think that way. So now we conditioned to think the other way. And you see, now I'm beginning to understand why our holy books talk about, man, people just going to come up to you. People are going to be attracted to you. And they're going to hang on to you. And they're going to want what you have. They're going to say, wow, that government of the Most High is the best government in the world. Why? It's because it focuses on me, my, and I. And believe me, everybody on this planet, I don't care who you are, what you are, you have a me, my, and I. What is your relationship with me, my, and I? Well, no, brother, I'm supposed to have a relationship with my pastor. I'm supposed to have a relationship with my church. I'm supposed to have a relationship with... No, you're supposed to have a relationship with me, my, and I. That's the first and foremost, most important relationship. Most important relationship. Me, my, and I. That's just what it is. Sheila Zoom says, I believe in God, but not Torah. It's okay. Well, it's okay for you. If that makes you happy and gives you peace, love, and joy at the end of the day, so be it. Because, everything is not projected outward, it's projected inward. And that's what we all need to understand as human beings. Nobody on the face of this planet should be in here, trying to convince or change somebody to do something that they do not want to do. That's the most ridiculous thing. But yet, like I told you earlier, I've wasted a lot of periods in my life trying to do just that. And that's just irrelevant, a waste of great energy. When that energy could have been focused on self. And that's just what it is. So I'm not here to judge any other person or condemn or put anybody down. For what they believe is what they believe. And we have to learn to get on with that. But conditioning has taught us that we cannot agree to disagree. And if you don't believe my statutes and my particular belief system, then I cannot associate with you. Then you're evil and you're wicked. That is the most asinine thing that I ever heard in my life. That is the most asinine thing I ever heard in my life. We can all agree as human beings to disagree, and so be it. And so be it. Like D2, D4, R2, D2. D2 says what? I believe in Hashem. Well, Baruch Hashem, you believe in Hashem? That's great. If you have peace, love, joy, and happiness believing in Hashem, that is great. If you have peace, love, joy, and happiness believing in nothing, that is great. That is great. Go and live your lives and have wonderful lives and make great memories with this wonderful gift of life that you've been given. Because that's just what it is. You see? I mean, that's just what it is. Hakohen has taught me this. My teacher, Hakohen, he's taught me that this is just what it is, Mishpachah. I've been on some adventures with Hakohen, and I tell you, you just have to come to the realization. And I came to it by experience on trips with Hakohen, on adventures, is that you just have to let people just do what they want to do. You cannot convince people to do something that they do not want to do, because then you make the situation a lot worse for themselves. Like when he said, belief in God or Hashem, belief in God or Hashem is as good as long as you put it in peace, happiness, and great start. You see? So again, that's just what we must understand as human beings. And we have to have these relationships with other human beings. That must be done. You're going to have relationships. Unless you're a hermit living in somebody's cave, then you have a relationship with the rocks and the animals around you, because you seem to be happy with that environment. But you have to establish relationships, howbeit positive or negative. I can't control that. You can. If a lot of people had done the right thing instead of being Rambo with their wife and trying to convert her, they would have done much better, great work. Oh, indeed, Hakohen. Indeed. You just have to let things be. And you'll see that when you respect others for what they believe, they'll love you more. Think about what I just said. And they'll love you more when you respect others for what they believe. They'll gravitate towards you. Why? It's because you're not judgmental. And that starts right with your family, right with that spouse. You guys don't have to agree on everything and force everything down each other's throat. You see? God loves everything we do. I could never date a Christian man. It's okay. Well, then don't date a Christian man. That's your standard that you set for yourself. So be it. Be happy dating whatever man makes you happy and gives you peace, love, and joy at the end of the day, and takes care of you and treats you like the queen that you are. I don't care where you find that. If you find that, you go get it and hang on to it and have a wonderful life together and begat many children. You know what I mean? And begat many children. And that's real. Okay? And D2, you're right. Makes sense to me. Hakohen has taught us about making sense of this world, while the world can't make sense of itself. Torah has helped me understand. Torah, which is life, I love life, is to help make sense of things. But there's a lot of senseless people walking around, and I say that in all respect. I say that in all respect, that there are a lot of senseless people walking around here. But what Hakohen has done, with how he has introduced Torah to my life, has helped me make sense of humanity. You see, I've been put here on this earth to dominate. How can I dominate when all I want to do is manifest enemies? No, I don't want to manifest enemies. I want to manifest peace, love, joy, and happiness. How do I do that? You see? How do I do that? How do I do that? By doing what? By being open to all, just like our forefather Abraham. I'm getting ready to close, but we have to be open to all, and we have to be open to all kinds, because all kinds make up this earth. And believe me, why were we put in all these different all these kinds of different nations? So we can do what? Make a mockery of them? Yah forbid. So that we can help raise these nations up and allow them to be great and assist these nations. Don't tear them down. Don't run with their conspiracy theories, but help build them up from the foundational level of humanity, which is what? Let's make sense of everything. And that can be done. You can make sense of everything can be made sense of. You don't have to walk around here senseless. It's easy to make sense of everything, if you're willing to accept everything. Think about that for a minute. But you got to be willing to accept everything. Folks come through here with their craziness. You got to be willing to accept. It may be craziness to me, but it's normal to them. You got to be willing to accept, okay, if that's what you want to be, yeah, so be it. Just be at peace, love, joy, happiness with everybody around. Don't cause no drama. Don't raise a ruckus, and you're fine with me. You're not affecting me or my family. You go do whatever you want to do. Do whatever's going to make you happy. And I'm pretty sure I speak for the family in this room. When you've embraced that Torah and you come under that umbrella of the Torah, it has made your relationship so much better with everybody around you. It has. Your relationships have become better, not worse. And the people that left you, guess what? They're coming back to you now. They're coming. Rahel, there's this woman, Rahel. She's had was having a relationship problem. When she came under this Torah, my goodness, her relationship with her family improved. Because she used to write me, she said, Rabbi, my relationships have gotten better. My relationship have gotten so much better now. Because now I understand them. And I'm not being judgmental of them. And we're not, just, putting up obstacles and walls, but we actually just, we've broken the walls down and we can communicate better. Life is about relationships. How you establish those relationships is going to be on you. We need to be taught how to establish proper relationships that's going to be nurturing for both parties. That's important. We've been put in these nations not to do bad for these nations, but to help these nations be successful and to build up these nations to be great. And that's what we're here to do. That's what light does. That's what we're here to do. We're here to be that beacon where everybody looks to. Well, oh man, who do I talk to when everything's going bad? They're going to come to you. Oh, you're such a man of peace. We're going to come to you. They're going to run to you. Why? It's because me, my, and I is at peace. Full of love, lots of joy, and always happy. As events do come in, they're going to come in. I understand. I can go through those events happy. I don't have to go through them miserable and depressed and busted and disgusted. No, I'm going to go through there happy. I'm going to go through them happy. My father recently passed, and I was happy that he passed because I realized he's no longer suffering anymore with all those things that those burdens that just bore him down. Because he kept telling me, son, I want to go home. I want to go home. I get it now. So I was totally happy. While my other siblings were over there boo-hooing and going through their things, I understood the bigger picture. I saw it, and I was like, man, hey, Pop, you always be with me. Oh, my father's gone. No, Pop is with you. He's in you. He's with you. He'll never leave you. We got a part of our Father. We're part of Him. He'll never leave us. But they couldn't see that. They couldn't see it. They just didn't see Him in the flesh no more. He's energy. He's always with me. And I realized that. Mishpahar. I was happy to see my father go and pass on to the other side and pass on to the next life. Because he was done with this one. He said it. I'm done. I'm ready to go home. I thought, my family members, he's talking about going home to his house and his big house there and just, being there. But no, he was ready to go home. He's done. He's done. And so be it. You see, it's all a matter of attitude. Boy, you got that right. But when folks try to come in, and this is why religion is such a shackle, is they'll come in and they try to manipulate your attitude to meet their particular agenda, then you have issue. Because you're not following self. You're following other things. You like Pied Piper. They play the little flute and you just go along and that gets old. And so these are things that we need to understand going forward. So we learn that as we go around the way, we gain so much experience in the way. You see? Instead of just going straight near. And I guarantee you, probably the majority of you in this room, you've had the same experience about going around the way. You didn't go directly near point A to point B. No, you went around the way. You went around the way in your relationships, you know what I mean? You went around the way in your experiences, and that's what it is. That's just what it is. And so we must understand that going forward. I'm going to pass the mic back over to our Kohen, but I'll say Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom to all of you. But, this lecture, the one our Kohen just gave on that me, my, and I mean, my goodness, there's no such thing as a rock in a hard place. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. It's there, but you don't have to acknowledge it. And it doesn't have to become a part of your, thought process to where that takes up all your energy and you focus on the rock in the hard place. No, you need to focus on the way out because there is a way out. There's a miracle way out for some of you, and some of us are going to see it as a miracle because it's going to be a miracle to get you out of it. Because you see these immovable objects and the things that are in pursuit in your life that's following you. And you focus on that all the time, and it'll leave you in fear, and it'll leave you paralyzed to where you can't get on with life. But you can get on with life. You can get on with life. You can. And but how do you do that? You have to keep moving in your forward. You have to keep moving in your forward. Whatever your forward is. Is it a job? Is it a house, a car? What's your forward? A relationship? A man, a woman? What is your forward? What do you desire? What's your forward? You see? Don't concentrate on looking back. What's your forward? And a lot of folks don't have a clue of what their forward is. Because they're just going through the motions of the past, and they can't get present to where they can see now. And that's unfortunate. But we're here to help. We're here to be of great service. We're not here to get caught up in any kind of agendas. We're just here to help and do great things for these nations. While in the meantime, we're doing great things for ourselves. We're helping these nations. And that's just what it is. So I'm going to pass the mic back over to our Kohen. I'll say Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom to all of you, Mishpahah. Don't get hung up on these subtleties in life. Because the subtleties are going to always be there. You focus on what you desire and you just go get it. You go get it. Come Shiloh or Sheol. You just go get it. Go get it. And keep that focus on what you desire. And go get it. Go get it. Don't let nobody stop you. Don't let nobody tell you you can't do it. Because then you're focusing on the nobodies. That's why they call nobodies. You see, think about that for a minute. They're nobodies to you. You focus on now and you focus on me, my, and I. That's what's important in this life. Quit trying to change everybody else around you. Put your energy on self. You'll do yourself a great service. Baruch Hashem. So I'm going to pass the mic back over to Kohen. We'll say Shabbat Shalom, Shalom, Shalom to all of you, Mishpah. Have a great 6 days of labor ahead. We over here preparing for Chinese New Year. My wife is getting ready for the year of the tiger over here. And, yeah, happy Chinese New Year, Shane Yah, to you and your family, as his wife is Chinese as well. You guys have a, awesome celebration and awesome time with your families abroad and your families here as well. But, yeah, we're going to do some great things, Mishpah. And this year, the year of the tiger. Great things are happening. Marvelous things are happening now. So, over to you, Hakohen, if you have any last words, Hakohen. But marvelous lecture, Hakohen. Marvelous lecture. Beautiful.
Rabbi Kefa, yeah, please send the message, the recording.